Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the NECA Toys A Nightmare on Elm Street NES Freddy Retro Cloth figure. A Toys R Us exclusive and something that Spot did want to get around to reviewing. You guys have said, Spot, when are you going to review the NES Freddy? The answer is this review here. Recommended for ages 17 and up. This comes to us from the folks over at NECA Toys at NECAonline.com. I love this print on the side there of a very, very illustrated NES style of Freddy. I think that's really cool. On the back, it shows kind of the same sort of brick kind of pixelated background there. It's also based on the classic 1999 video game appearance. This is theoretically the second release of NES Freddy because we've already released, well, they have already released a Freddy, but it was in the 6-inch figure. Now we're getting the retro cloth. Has a removable hat, razor glove, and hideous face. That's funny that they would actually have that as, you know, a feature. It's got a hideous face. Something frightening has been happening on the Elm Street lately. It seems that with each waking day, another gruesome discovery is made. Another neighborhood teen is mysteriously passed away into the dark stillness of the night. Everyone says it's natural causes, but it seems as if something or someone has been picking them off one by one in their sleep. It's a horrible nightmare come true, and this nightmare has a name, Freddy Krueger. It's up to you and your remaining friends to search Elm Street for his bones, which have been scattered about, then collect and burn them in the high school furnace. If you can stay awake long enough, you might be able to end Freddy's reign of terror for good. You had better hurry though, it's getting late, and you can feel your eyelids getting heavier and heavier. Once again, to check out more from the folks over at NECA Toys, you can go to www.necaonline.com. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to get a better look at the NES Retro Cloth Freddy. Here's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Like with the other Retro Cloth figures, Spot will show you the entire card that comes packaged with Freddy Krueger. I still hold on to all of these. I keep them in sheet protectors because the artwork is so great on them. I wouldn't want to throw these away. Just such a great, great looking design. Put that to the side. Fred Krueger also comes included with his fedora, which, like the rest of the figure, is just a re-release, just obviously painted slightly different than its original incarnation. This is more like a lighter, almost a lighter chocolate-covered brown as opposed to the darker brown. Very nice. You can take the fedora and fit it on Freddy's head, but before we do that, let's have a look at the figure itself. This will not be something that appeals, I think, to every single person. Very equally so like the NES Jason. It's a market of people that all of a sudden now out of the woodwork are really loving the NES designs. I think Jason, there's something about NES Jason that people just jumped on board, and I just love the design of NES Jason with the kind of blue mask and, you know, slightly purple body. Freddy obviously was next to be included in that. We got the 8-bit representation of Freddy in 6-inch form, and now of course we're having a look at him in retro cloth form. Like Jason, Freddy's appearance in the game pretty much is exactly what you see right here. It's more like a ketchup-y kind of combination of yellows. It's almost more like a caramel color, more like an orange, and then he's got these reddish colored pants. He does not look quite like Freddy as we come to love him from other movie incarnations, but that's the charm when it comes to the NES style of figures. There's just something about them. You can't quite put your finger on it, but you just love them. Having a look at his face, without any doubt, despite the fact that it's more, well, it's less colored. It's got a little more in the way of just one singular flesh color. I shouldn't say that technically because there's like a little bit of this kind of beige overlay of color over top of there as well. But the little crevices and creases, he doesn't really seem to have a lot of paint to it, but that fits perfectly, again, for that vein of NES treatment. His eyes are solid black. A really nice touch, though. His teeth also mirror that of the same color as his skin. They haven't really done any paint work to it, but really the whole notion of the NES figures is that they're extremely scaled back on paint. You'll notice that especially when it comes to his glove. Like the game, the glove has no color to it whatsoever. In fact, it just mirrors, once again, the flesh color of his hands and his face into glove treatment as well. The glove is posed in such a way that I feel like it only needs to, you can only have it in certain ways. Like when you have it this way, it works. When you have the glove up, it seems to work. But if you have it straight down, it looks a little jarring having those two extra blades as far down as what they are. So usually if I'm going to be displaying him, I probably will display Freddy like this, where it makes a little more sense that his two fingers are going to be bent inward, and the two, well, his pointer finger and his middle finger are going to be sticking straight out. Because this is retro cloth, the sweater is an actual knitted sweater as opposed to it being a plastic torso. And equally so, his pants are a fabric pant material as opposed to being a plastic, lower torso. And also too, funny enough, this has more posability to it than the earlier released Freddy Krueger figures, which if you remember, the whole bottom body was basically just staction. Like you couldn't move anything to the body. The legs were already pre-posed. It wasn't until we got Ultimate Freddy where you could actually bend the legs and you had posability in the actual thigh area of the legs too. Let's go ahead and get his fedora back on his head. I think it fits him perfectly, especially, you know what, if this is going to be NES Freddy, it makes more sense, I think, to have him with the fedora on than without. By the way, also, if we lift up his top, you'll see too, Freddy's a little more muscular than probably what he should be, because the beauty of retro cloth figures is that NECA can incorporate existing body molds, and it's a lot cheaper for them just to make fabric, overlaid fabric costumes that you can just put over top of the figure. That's why 6-inch figures are always the harder sell for them to be releasing, because they have to come up with a brand new sculpted tooling body, whereas the retro cloth figures, they can turn out a lot more of these because they can just really swap out the head, the hands, and then just change the fabric, but the body will stay the same underneath. In the way of posability for NES Freddy, his head is on a ball joint. Don't be surprised if when you're moving his head, his fedora sometimes will want to pop off, but it fits very easily back on. Shoulders hinge out, no restrictions at all because his sweater it looks like it should be tight, but it's actually not. Like you can move the sweater very easily, and his arms equally so. You can almost rotate his arms all the way around. I wouldn't really start moving him any further than that because you're going to start messing up the sweater. He does have a bend in the elbow, rotation in the hand. He has a rotation in the waist. Doesn't really crunch, but he just has this straight swivel. And as we've already looked at, his legs hinge forward and back out, a swivel point at the top cut of the thigh, a bend at the knee, and a hinge foot. Perfect figure to be pairing alongside the likes of NES Jason. Secretly, like, Spot just thinks to himself, oh, it'd be so cool to have a Freddy versus Jason NES, like, battle to the death. While we don't get that in video game treatment, I can certainly do that in retro cloth fashion, and Freddy will sit very nicely next to NES Jason. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the Nightmare on Elm Street NES Freddy, the video game release of this character. We're looking today at retro cloth Freddy. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.